Assalamu alaikum viewers. This is Riyaz Aziz and the program is Opinion. In today's program we have with us King of Bangana, His Excellency Khuli Radebe. King of Bangana is a very famous person in Africa, has associations and chairmanships of many associations in Africa and outside the Africa, Pan-African Parliament. He is very popular person in that area. He has also worked with Nelson Mandela. He has also worked the political movement of that Mandela, and he remained in prison with Nelson Mandela. I want to introduce him to you and also want to talk to him about his career and political career and his kingdom. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you very much. Thank
you. Your Excellency, Mr. Khulu, would you kindly tell me about, and my viewers tell me about yourself and your struggle for political freedom of South Africa?
Yes, I joined the struggle in 1976. I became a member of the student movement. We call it South African Student Movement. We call it SASM. As young as we were, I was introduced in the struggle by other friends whom we used to cross night. To cross night means we used to study at night, the whole night. My dream, personal dream, I wanted to become a doctor. You know, as we were studying at night at about 12, we start discussing about the situation in South Africa. So little did we realize that that very same group would become the future leaders of the struggle. We became the people that led the 1976 June 16 uprising, the same group that used to study there. And then out of that, then we were later arrested for creating what we call the uprising, the riots of the student movement. What was our demand at that time, 1976? Our demand was about a language that was used by the oppressors. Is called Afrikaans. That language was then enforced onto us, that every syllabus that we will be undertaking must be done under that Dutch language. It's called Afrikaans. And they did not even negotiate, they were forcing it to us. We started rejecting it. Now, as we were peacefully marching, they started shooting at us. So a lot of young students went into exile at that time. We as leaders, we tried to be around the country, but we were arrested. So that's how my career started in politics. We were against
it's okay about politics. Yes. I want to know about your kingdom and how did you become king. Absolutely. And what happened to that kingdom now.
So that is politics. Then in the kingship, I was introduced into being a king. My family, I am told that my mother was given a prophecy, like what we call astrology, as you put it, you know, that you are going to have a child, and this child was going to be the one that is going to lead the nation. So I did not know that until I was old enough. They then introduced me into the nation. Then I was introduced to a medicine, a traditional medicine. That traditional medicine, if you are not the rightful one, after drinking it 45 minutes, it kills you. So that is the test to say, are you the real king? So they did prepare that medicine. They gave it to me. I drank it. After 45 minutes, they did a ritual, what we call being prepared to become a king. That's what happened. So I'm leading a nation of the continent. These are the offsprings. We originally, our kingdom comes from Congo before the 1300. We originally come from the Congo region. We are a nation or a tribe that is called Bembe people. So in Africa, before the white men came, we did not have borders in Africa. The borders came because there was a conference in Berlin that was led by Bismarck. Bismarck is the one who introduced the demarcations in Africa. So the people in Africa, they are my offsprings. If you understand the demographics of Africa and the landscape of Africa, these are relatives.
You mean to say you are representing whole of Africa?
Absolutely, because my
the whole continent of Africa.
Yes, my offsprings, you find them in different regions of Africa.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
How many tribes are there in your kingdom?
More than 52 in South Africa. And then in other regions you can add, because, for example, if you can look at the landscape and the demographics of Africa, as the Bantu people, we are the people who are related to each other. You understand? For example, in Angola, if you go and look at the history in Angola, there is people that we call Bembe. You find them in Zambia today. But before they lived in Angola, they used to call it Kola. Now, their current paramount chief in Zambia, his name is one of the clan name of my people in South Africa, called Chitimkulu. So I am Timkulu, you understand? I am Pungani. I am Khadebe, you understand? So you go to Angola, you still find in the Congo region, they call themselves Katebe. It's the same, Khadebe, you understand? We call it Khadebe. The Arabs pronounce Kha, you know? It's the same. That's why you find us in the sub-Sahara.
What is your language in the region?
In the region, we speak Zulu. We speak Tekele language. Tekele, it's more like, you know, mixed with Swahili, mixed with Swati, mixed with other regional languages in the continent. You'd find when you go to Tanzania, you go to Kenya, there is an offspring of that language, because languages are created by people when they break away, wanting not to be associated with you because of the wars in Africa. They wanted to say, I am not what you are. They protected each other. But you find the Venda speaking people, the language is similar to Sutu. You find the Sutu speaking, is the language is similar to Xhosa. You find there's a tribe where you find that tribe speak the original language of the first of the tens and tens of thousands years ago.
Okay,
they call themselves the Hadebe people. Hadebe is Hadebe. You find them in Tanzania today.
You're claiming that you are representing whole of Africa.
No, I'm not claiming. I am saying my people, you find them the rest of Africa. The Bantu speaking people.
Okay, what is the current status of your kingdom?
It's a recognized kingdom of Africa. It's a kingdom that represents the people of Africa. And my kingdom...
There are many others also.
They are there. That's why I'm saying they're offsprings, you understand? As offsprings, they create their own kingdoms. Now, my kingdom does not subscribe to the British authority. My kingdom does not subscribe to any imperialist connection. Because these people, the imperialists...
No, there's a question.
Yes.
When you are saying that you're a kingdom and you're recognized by whole of Africa, and you're also saying there are many other kingdoms. So how can you claim that you are the only representative and only power of only kingdom of Africa?
Let's remove the claim. Let's explain it again. The kingdom of Africa. These are the interrelated because they are relatives. Now, when a tribe...
So you are not only the kingdom.
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
Others are also with you.
They are there with me.
Could you name somebody?
There is one Mziligazi, for an example. There is Lukuleni. There is another one from Nigeria. What we refer as the the Igbo people. These are my relatives. They've got their own kingdoms, but they know that King Bungani exists as their king. Now, what happened with King Bungani the second and the first? He married from all these other tribes. You understand? That's how we relate. King Bungani the second had 400 wives.
Your father?
Absolutely. He had 400 wives.
400 wives?
Absolutely. Coming from all these clans. Now, these clans, they end up creating what we call a nation. That's how it is in Africa.
So when it was claimed or said, just I take my word back, I don't use the word claim. When you say it is the whole representative, means different tribes are there, and your father married 400 women of different tribes, so the whole nation became united. How many wives you have?
I have only one wife. I have only one wife, a beautiful one also.
So why didn't you adopt the same strategy like your father?
As you said to me earlier on, that will be the best strategy. I'll consider it. Yes, I'll consider adopting the same strategy.
At this age?
Absolutely. I'll do it.
When you have lost many things?
No, I'll do it.
Okay.
I'll think about it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, your kingdom is like a monarch or a constitutional monarch. What is the status?
It is a monarch because why? When you look at, we do tribal issues, traditions, for example. It is a monarch. We call it a monarch. It is a kingdom that subscribe to traditional affairs. You understand? It's got, in Africa, I would say, it is a monarch like the British monarch. Yes. Yes.
It is accepted by the government?
Yes.
Recognized by the government?
It is recognized by the government because it exists. If it did not exist or recognized by the government, they should have said on the internet, or they should have said, Kulu, stop this kingdom, we don't recognize it.
Okay, you are recognized, then government pays you...
I don't want their money. I told them I don't want nothing from you, because your composition of government, it is a system of imperialism. Imperialists came to South Africa in 1652. They stole our land. The white people came to South Africa, stole our land. They killed my forefathers. They killed a lot of people of my people. So I don't want any association with them. I have my own country, land. I've got all my own minerals. I don't need their money. I don't need their money.
You do not support,
I don't
you do not get any support. Any support?
I don't want anything related
Any
to
political support?
I don't even need politicians, because I'm above politicians. I'm above any political party. I'm the father of everybody.
They do not recognize you as constitution.
They know as a constitution. The constitution of South Africa does recognize the monarchs. It does. But I don't want to do anything associated with these guys. You know why? Because they are an extension.
Okay, when you do not recognize the government, is it so?
No.
You do not recognize the government. Government, whether it recognizes or not, it doesn't make any difference for you. But you do not accept that government. You say that is imperialist government. Okay, why do you go there and address the parliament houses?
I went to Pan-African Parliament because they invited me. The Pan-African Parliament representatives invited me because we were going to give an honorary title to the current president of the Pan-African Parliament. That's how I went there.
Okay.
That's how I went.
Okay. Now I want to talk about Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
You were in the struggle of freedom with Nelson Mandela, and you were also in prison with him. How many years you were with him?
I was sentenced to 10 years, 4 years suspended, 6 years in jail. I was sentenced to 10 years, 4 years suspended, 6 years in prison. So when I was there, I was very young, in prison.
How did you find Nelson Mandela was he a real person, a real democrat, a real protector of the African rights, or it is just a mystery, or it is just a story?
When I arrived in prison, Mandela made sure that I go to school with what we call correspondence. Mandela was not there alone. They had other leaders that were there who were arrested with him. There were other people who were there before him also. I don't know if you know that, in prison, in Robben. So they gave me an opportunity to go to school. Now in Robben Island, there is what we call it a University of Bangana University. Now there you were taught politics, you were taught life. Now when we used to go to work, you would be taught how to understand politics of the day and the geopolitics. also, as young children, young boys as we were, you know, from the student movement, we were given opportunity to further our studies. So Mandela was a good man, very down to earth, a very person who likes to joke. A lot of people don't know the other side of Mandela. Nelson Mandela is a person that would make jokes, and he would talk about the history, how he grew up as a young person. He would talk about one day he arrived in Alexandra Township. You know, it's a township near Johannesburg. I think it's on the north of Johannesburg. He said when he came from the rural areas, he did not understand when he bought meat. It was called smoked beef. He says, I bought this beef, and when I arrived at home, I wanted them to cook this meat. The meat was cooked already. He says, I've learned a lot of things in Alexandra Township. He says, Alexandra, your grandfather, that's my grandfather, he was talking to me, he says, your grandfather taught me and introduced me to politics of the ANC. My grandfather, if you read the book called Long Walk to Freedom, Mandela talks about my grandfather. He says, that man changed my life. He says, Mandela, it is my duty now to change your life. You are under my custody. So that's how I went to school. That's how I became educated. That's how I was taught politics. And Mandela never discriminated against me. We used to sit with Governor Mbeki,
Mandela
with other leaders.
Was Mr. Mandela recognizing all monarchs and
Yes,
kingdoms?
He comes from there also. He comes from there also. He's a son of a chief. He's a son of, you know, one of the rulers of the...
So he was not a Democrat?
No, he was a Democrat. You know when
you are recognizing kingdoms, when you are when you are recognizing kingdoms,
yes,
when you are recognizing the people who are ruling and not being elected by the democratic ways, Mandela was a democratic person.
yes.
He was recognizing also kingdoms. So it is, don't you think, a dual personality?
Indeed, it was a duel. But you know what? If you remember when you saw his funeral, there was 2 sessions in the funeral. There was a funeral of the Democrats who spoke, and then after they said it's a family affairs. They buried him in the traditional way. Mandela was buried in the traditional way, meaning a monarch style of being buried.
So dual personality.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mandela was struggling for the freedom of the Africa, but it was limited to only South Africa. Is
Not
it so?
Exactly. Mandela was fighting for the whole world to be free. He was a world icon indeed. He was a world icon, because he said, the freedom that I'm fighting for, it is a freedom that will be cherished by the whole mankind. He was a leader of the mankind. He was a leader of the whole world. That's why his principles, he says he wants everybody to live equally. He wants everybody to enjoy the benefits that were created by God for everybody.
How did you feel at that moment when Mandela was released from prison?
You know what? I could not hold myself. I could not believe that it is happening now. Because when he came out of prison, I know the conditions where he was. I lived in those conditions. We used to drink black water, what we call salty water. We were, you know, at some other times in prison, the prison authorities will come in the early hours of the morning when it was drizzling outside to wake us up and have what we call strip search and make us to be naked against the wall. There are elderly people like your father, you know, we would stand with your fathers naked against the wall. They will pour water against us. They will go into our cell, pour water onto our blankets, you know, where we used to sleep. They will just pour water and lock us in those rooms, prison cells with water inside. And it's very chilly, it's very cold in there. You know, now I could not believe that at the end is happening, that this man is going to be free, because I lived under those conditions, you understand. I knew how terrible it was. You know, at some stage we would be called in. You know how painful it was in jail. You will be called early hours of the morning by a head of the prison and make us to stand with our clothes in the rain, just because he wants to address us. He is standing somewhere in the shelf, you know, in the shelter there on top. And then you will tell us that, I'm going to break you. I'm going to make you to shit here. I am in charge here. We are under the rain that time. We're listening to this man. And then you will say, stand there. Then you will walk away.
Including Mandela.
Everybody, including Mandela. We took a decision as the young boys. We said to Mandela, this is our war now. You were here before us. We are in charge now. We will fight against the authorities.
What political circumstances you think made the authorities to release Mandela? What pressures were there?
I think it's the international pressure. Don't you think?
International.
Absolutely. International pressure, because the ANC subscribed to, at that time, they had 4 pillars of their struggle. The first pillar was mass mobilization. The second pillar was underground structures. The third one was armed struggle. The fourth one was international mobilization. So they worked intertwined. But the international one, what we call the international mobilization, it worked very well because South Africa at that time was sanctioned. South African government felt the pressure because a lot of international companies disinvested from South Africa. So the international community, including Pakistan, played a crucial role into the Afro-Asian Solidarity Group, if you remember. They put pressure internationally under the non-aligned movement. All those movements played what we call a pivotal role in putting pressure into the South African government at that time. It was not that they liked to release Mandela or they liked to help our people.
What was the religion of Mandela?
Mandela was a Christian.
Christian.
Absolutely. But at the same time, he grew to embrace what we call spirituality. Because in prison, you learn those things, you understand? You learn there in prison. We had people from the Asian origin like yourself. We've got, we had other different people who are traditionalists. We all embraced one spiritual religion so that we all do not segregate against each other.
Okay, after the release from prison, Mandela became the leader and the ruler of that area. The team he had, do you think it was a perfect team?
Remember Mandela, when he led, he wanted to reconcile South Africa. It was a very delicate situation, a very sensitive point or a turning point in the history of South Africa. He had no other way but a compromise, to have people who were not good-hearted people, who never had the same objective. Like, for example, the people who served in the apartheid government. We had to have what we call a government of national unity. So he had to compromise somewhere else. Mandela, remember, he became a president only one term. So he was for reconciliation.
He was the only person who was struggling for the freedom of Africa, and the rest of the team were not die-hard team.
Not true. Some of the people who came from the ANC were serving or having the same objective. But there are those people who came from the apartheid regime who were there for their own needs because they never subscribed to the
assistance. Do you think they were inducted by the international forces? The people who were not with Mandela's dream?
You know what? They believed in the different dream. They believed that God gave them Africa to oppress people. I'll tell you, the white people in South Africa. up to today, they've never apologized to the black people for the terrible things they've done for 400
What is
years.
the present condition of the government? They are following the dream of Mr. Mandela or not?
The current president of South Africa, he is following the dream of Nelson Mandela.
He is following the dream.
Absolutely.
You are not recognize that government, and
No. I am a traditionalist. Monarchs do not subscribe to democracy, as you just said earlier on. We have certain traditions that we must follow. Now the composition...
They are loyal to the land of South Africa,
No.
the present rulers?
No. The current system that they're using, it is more, I'm looking for a word. It has a soft spot for the old rulers. You understand? The system of governance. Remember, the current system of governance that we're using in South Africa, it is what we call a Westminster style of governance. It is a British one. Now, a British system cannot be good to us because these are the oppressors. These are the people who came by force to take our land. These are the people who killed my forefathers. So I cannot subscribe to that system.
So the dream of Mandela is not true?
Absolutely. No, the dream of Mandela, he was trying to reconcile between the oppressors and the black people. But the problem is that...
So finally, if I say this, finally Mandela compromised with the situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He compromised because he wanted to find peace. But the problem is on the other side. You see, your forefathers, I'll make a practical example. White people came to South Africa in 1652. They stole everything from the black people. Up to today, the land belongs to the white people. Up to today, people were killed, people were mined, people have lost mineral rights, people have lost their land, they've lost everything. White man has never said sorry to the black people. Even today, they never apologize for the wrong things that were done by their forefathers.
So the situation and the position before the Mandela's regime and after Mandela regime is same.
The ANC is trying to change that, but it's the same. It's the same because you know what is happening?
African did not get their right.
They don't even have the land. You know, let me tell you something very important to you. The pride of a black man, I think you'd agree with me. The pride of a man is to own the land. In South Africa, no man is owning the land. We are tenants in our own land. It's painful.
So what is the change?
Absolutely. Now you're asking me the right question. There's no change. That's why we need to come together and fight so that we change this lifestyle. We are still members of the Commonwealth. What does it say to you?
The question is, the real rulers are still whites.
But now you understand the politics of the day of South Africa.
What is the change after the Mandela? There is no change.
Mandela ruled one term of office. He was trying to reconcile. They call it the Rainbow Nation. It did not happen.
It is just cosmetic.
Absolutely. Thank you. Where did you get that word? I usually use that word. It's called cosmetics. I usually make an example of a woman who would say, when you are waiting for her, she say, I'm preparing myself. She goes to the bathroom and then put a makeup. It's cosmetic, and then she comes out. She says, wow, you are so beautiful. You know? Then in the end, it's just something that you can wipe
after washing the face.
Okay. That's exactly what we call cosmetic changes. To me, it does not make any difference. If you give me the land, if you restore my culture, you restore my dignity, then
okay.
I'm a proud person.
Now I talk about your kingdoms and previous kingdoms. Your kingdom, what you have given to your people, the kingdom has given to their people in Africa. Still they are the tribes who are living without dresses. This is the real condition. So the kings of those kingdoms what have they given to their people?
Let me tell you, the traditions of not dressing up, like for example they wear skins. It is a tradition that has been there for years. Né? So a lot of people they do have dresses. They do have suits. But there come a time where you must remember your origin. Like for an example in Pakistan, there is a certain dress that men or women dress in Pakistan. It is their tradition. So in our situation, we wear skins.
No, tradition.
Remember where we come from.
Just let me ask you. Tradition is something very different.
Yes.
But when you say the living condition of those people, they are living in huts, they are living without any shelters, they are living without dresses, without food. So what the kings of those areas have given them?
The kings of those areas, you know, we are creating something for those kings of the areas. We call it the Pan-African Parliament of the Royals. That's my vision. I want to create a parliament of the traditional rulers, where we tend to be in charge, or the custodians, to fight for the ownership of the land, so that we change their lifestyle, those people. That's what I am.
Why didn't they change in the time when they were ruling? They did not educate their people. They did not.
You know why?
The kings.
You know why? Because the same system of the white man.
White came very later on. Very later on. But you were from the beginning in kings in your kingdoms.
Yes. They used to do that, our forefathers. We used to wear skins. When it is, you know what? You go to Europe, they wear skins also. During the time before they call civilization. Our civilization,
what you're calling a civilization,
yes,
is the poverty, is the poorness of the people,
yes,
isn't so?
Not exactly. Civilization, it has to do with development. Civilization.
No, what you are calling the civilization, the poverty, it is coming out of the pictures of the people.
Exactly. No, that's what you see on the picture. That's what the white man wants you to see. But go to the original areas. I can make an invitation officially to
Did you educate the people? Did your forefathers educated the people?
Absolutely.
They are not educated.
No, come to my area, come to my land, you'll see what I'm talking about.
They are not technically educated, they are not practically educated.
Inventors. The black people are the inventors of technology. Mathematics was invented by black people. Robots were invented by black people. Today, what you see that it has been invented by white people is not true. We are the inventors. We made the computer. Go and Google. Go and research. We made all this technology. Africa is
the people living in Africa are not the inventors.
No, they are.
The people living in the West, they may be on the same path.
No, it's not true. I don't agree with you. Please, from today, I'm giving you a task. I'm here until the 25th. I can work with you on that. We are the inventors. You are talking about the patents. Patents, people who go and patent something, is a white man who has a knowledge, who has an opportunity of patenting this camera. The original inventors, for example, Ford car was never invented by a white man. I don't know if you know. Ford never invented that car. It was invented by a black man. I can give you a video now that you'll see who
living in Africa. Living in African tribe.
Came from Africa.
No, came from. This is very different thing. A person who has left Africa and living in Western area, he may do it.
No, who came from Africa with the same mentality, with the same thinking. In Africa, today in Africa, in Mali, we are the inventors of mathematics.
Why aren't you a developed nation now? If you are claiming this much.
Because white men stole from us. White men stole our minerals. White men stole our technology. That medicine that we are using today, that has been patented by whatever companies, the pharmaceutical companies, come from Africa. Today they tell you that AIDS is not curable. It is curable in Africa. I can take you to my region in Natal, in KZN. There is a traditional medicine that can cure that. Hepatitis B and A can be cured in South Africa. I can tell you other migraine sickness. It's done in South Africa by traditional medicine. It does not even take 2 months. Only you take 3 liters, 1 liter, second liter, then you're cured. But white man does not want you to know that. You know why? Because they've got contracts of what? Of distribution of their tablets. Their tablets, the white man, if it makes you to be sick because it's got the after effects. I'm talking about the medicine that does not have after effects. It's there in my area. If you don't believe me, I can give you an invitation letter. Come to South Africa, come with your sickness, bring somebody who's sick, let's give him the medicine, check with your doctor, the doctor will tell you this person is cured.
Okay.
Independent doctor.
Who brought the whites in your area in Africa? Don't you think the kingdoms and kings are responsible for this? They made agreements with the whites to come and to work there?
No. They came as explorers, as they are doing up to today. They come here to your country in Pakistan as the mountain climbers. They are not mountain climbers, those people. Those people are people who are looking for minerals. That's why after they discovered gas, that's why they will change a regime to bring in their person, because they want those natural resources. Those are the people.
Who allowed them to come there?
They come as tourists to you. They come.
Kings made agreement with them.
No, they
kings sold them.
No, when they come to
like in East Indian Company.
No, they come.
Just
the Dutch East Indian Company. Could you listen my question? No.
Please listen my question.
Give you a chance.
Like in East Indian companies, the kings allowed and made agreements with the whites. They came there and they make East Indian Company and they make their rules here in Pakistan.
Yeah. Okay.
Just same happened in Africa, don't you think so?
No, I don't think so. In South African context, Jan van Riebeeck arrived in 1652. When he arrived in 1562, his ship was wrecked. Remember what I'm telling you. The ship, when it was on the Cape of Good Hope, it came broken. The locals assisted to rebuild the ship. He went back to Netherlands to tell them that we found a land that has the inhabitants in the Cape. King of Netherlands says, I'm not interested. They went to England to find a joint venture agreement. They came to oppress us. They came to steal. They came as if people, they come with mirrors. They come with ornaments to the king to say, we are here to pay our allegiance. We were on our way to buy whatever for bartering systems, and then they are there to steal. We never invited them. They came with ornaments, and then they say, you know what, we are here for
okay, doesn't matter. If king doesn't invite,
it matters because they tell you, they say to you, we will take your children, send them to school, we'll do 1, 2, 3 for them. That's how a lot of people end up being slaves, stolen from Africa by the very same people. Put them in the ships. If they work for us, they will develop in what. That's why they ended up being the workers of these criminals. That's how Africa was exploited by these thieves. I call them thieves.
They were putting masks on their faces. Is it okay? Is it okay? But
they are criminals.
The kings allowed them to work there
because they deceived these kings. They lied to them. They lied to them. Let me tell you, the slaves that you see in America today, the slaves that you see in the Caribbean today, if you go back to the history, you'll see how they were taken.
Don't you think the whites presented their women to the kings, and that made the kings to allow them to work?
No, at that time they were traveling alone. White women came very late in South Africa. Let me tell you, they came later when they re-established themselves. I'll tell you of the Indian history in South Africa. Men came to South Africa to come and work in the sugar plantation. That's how you see those Indians in Durban. They came to work in the sugar plantation because why? Black people did not want to work for these people. That's why we had what we call wars of resistance against these colonizers. We defeated them. We fought against them for years. They went and brought in the Indians from India to come and work in the plantation. After 10 years, a 10 years contract. After 10 years, they brought in the Indian wives to come in. Chinese came to work in the mines because they forced us to come and work in the mines. We were not agreeing. They brought in the Chinese. That's how you see Chinese in South Africa. You understand? That is the concept of South Africa. They came, you know, I'll tell you of my forefathers, how the white men came. They came, they said, we wanted to work with you. This is King Bongani the First. We wanted to work with you. We want to do 1, 2, 3. We want to sign a pact. We are not here to fight you. It's there on the Google. I'll find it for you. We want to work with you. You know, we are not here to fight anybody. Please, can you give us, you know, people to come and work with us? We are exploring in Kimberley for the mine. What diamond? That's what they said. Later, and then our king Langalibalele asked, how are you going to pay these people? We will give them guns. Later they came and said, we want to confiscate these guns because you don't have a license to. But they gave them permission to hold these guns because those people use their labor power, and then end of the day they were paid with guns. Later on they changed. They said, no, you can't allow these black people to have guns because tomorrow they will rebel against you. That's how they took all the guns. They took one of my great-grandfather. They locked him in jail for life in Robben Island before me in the 18-something. He was charged for what? For treason. He was the first man to be charged under treason, my great-grandfather. Why? Because they said he was a threat against the British system. Later, one of the British bishops, his name is Bishop Colenso, you can go and Google. Bishop Colenso said, but you're not treating this man fair. You guys, you took his people to go and work in the mines, you pay them with guns, why now do you arrest their king?
Okay, this will take much longer time.
Absolutely.
If the debate continues. I come to end and I ask you what you are doing for the liberation of your land, for liberation of your people. What struggle you are doing at the moment when you are saying Mandela dreamed but it was not true. So if the dream is not true as yet, what you, the king of Bangana, what your
Ambo Kingdom.
Ambo.
Yes.
What you are doing at the moment?
What we are doing, we are putting projects together, schools, building clinics for my people, educating my people not only on the lower level, but having agreements with other institutions. That's why now in Pakistan we've got what we call Afro-Asia. We are going to be building a school now as we are going, as we are going back to South Africa. We are going to have a school that is called Afro-Asian System. We are going to have another engineering and technology school in South Africa. We want these schools to be totally independent from any other groupings, because why? We want these people to be independent.
These educational institutions are being run by the whites in South Africa. What is the difference? What is the difference?
The difference is that it will come with our own initiative. It has no allegiance to the white man. Their system of education, this will be totally independent in their system of putting it. We create our own, like the one we have here in Pakistan.
In this whole story, there is no struggle of freedom.
That is freedom. Mandela used to say, education is the key to freedom. If you are educated, you become totally independent. You become totally free from any bondage.
But it doesn't provide you the ways to get your land freedom.
But when people are educated, don't you think they come with a common mind to fight for their own freedom?
When the people are educated, they are not agreed for fight. They are agreed only for their life and their other facilities.
Not everybody. In South Africa, that's why we, the educated young youth, remember when earlier on we spoke, we were wanting to become doctors. We were educating ourselves. We were cross-nighting, studying at night. But end of the day, we were in the struggle for a freedom of our people. So today in South Africa, people have realized to say they need to come together. They need to be fighting for a betterment of their conditions. So in my kingdom, my people, you would see in my, what we call a WhatsApp group, how we work together in trying to change the life. And not only in South Africa, continentally, you would see how people from Congo who came to South Africa as refugees, who were desperate for the situation, how we helped, how we work together. I'll show you the charts, how we come together to assist, you understand. So we connect with other areas. We are the only kingdom during the xenophobic violence in South Africa. We are the only kingdom that we're educating our people to say, let us not fight against each other. We are one people. We are the only kingdom that talks about the unity of the continent. We don't subscribe to the name called Africa. Africa, it is a name of an oppressor. His name is Scipio Africanus. He is a former Roman dictator. So we don't subscribe to that name. We subscribe to a name called Embo. What is the meaning of Embo? Embo simply means origin, simply means the cradle of humankind. That's why our kingdom, it is called Embo Kingdom. It simply means the cradle of humankind kingdom.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kolo Radebe, His Excellency, Your Excellency. Thank you very much. You gave us time. Viewers, you have listened Mr. Kolo Radebe and his views are with you. Now analysis it whether they are true or whether they are overcharging. I take your permission to get end to this program. Thank you very much, and kindly send your views and your feedback to my program. Thank you very much.